Ooh, let's see. Ooh, Star Lake. Alright. Hmm. Paint, paint, paint. What colors? I'm trying to figure out what color I want to paint it. I don't know. To be honest with you, the orange. Ooh, that one's pretty. I haven't used it much. The orange looks going in. Trying to color I want to paint. Painting the mason jar. So I sanded it actually, so it was smooth. And I'm gonna paint some of the details right here. That's what I'm doing. Trying to figure out what colors I want to use for the flowers. I've got choices. Choices. Hmm. Green, gold, gold, red. Those are all bright and they're all gonna be super sparkly. So those got copper, gold, green, and red, and it's gonna make shaker bag. So, um, there's a couple of snowflakes in the pattern. I tried to, when I cut it out with the rolling pin, so I roll it, I cut it out. You can see there's snowflakes in the pattern, and I want to. I'm doing white as a background. So I think I'm going to paint the whole thing a light color. I have white. I could paint it shiny, sparkly white. Yeah, because it's like a primer. Or do I want to paint it all yellow? Got an opinion? So I'm going to paint the jar all one color. So the outside, the back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, do I want to paint it all this light gold? Zero people? Oh, 8 people watching. Welcome to the blind painter. Okay, y'all. Anybody gonna make a comment? Gold or yellow? No, nobody's made a comment. Okay, I will decide. I shall be the decision maker. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna paint it all. You know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna paint it all yellow, the whole background, and then I'll highlight the snowflake with the white, and it'll pop. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. It shouldn't be that hard to make a decision, but whatever it was. Saturday morning, what y'all up to? Watching people paint. And so I've got this bucket of paintbrushes. I got most of these paintbrushes at Michael's. It was $5.99 for a grip of them. So not the highest quality paintbrushes on the planet, but at that price, you can kind of burn through them. And so I'm looking for a little flat one to paint the sides with. Ooh, it's kind of small. It'd be nice for the edges. And I've already painted the lid, and I sanded it smooth in the pattern. When I made them, there's a decoration in the pattern at the top. So I sanded it and painted it, gave it a jar lid. So I've already been working on it. I really thought that was going to lay down so much darker. It's kind of anticlimactic. I couldn't even tell that it was paint on there at first. I was like, whoo, like it was going to be this big, bold, dramatic difference. But anyway, I'll need a couple layers. Visually, it didn't respond like I thought it was going to. And I like to do the edges first because then I can hold them and I don't mess up my... This brush is perfect width. I roll my clay out 1/4 inch. It dries smaller than it shrinks. It pulls in, which is awesome. It highlights the pattern. So when you do like a embosser, debosser, stamp, blah blah blah, whatever, it like accentuates the pattern a little bit. And I'm using my finger as leverage to keep my hand steady because I don't want to set this down. And so to steady up my hand, because I'm freehand shaking, but I find if I anchor with my little pinky, my control goes up dramatically, honestly. So, poof. So it's going to need a couple of coats. And this metallic flirt paint, it dries really fast to the touch. So I have found I can go right back over it by the time I get to one side. And then I will go back over it after I do. So I get this little system. I do the sides and do them again. And then I do the back. Then I do the front. I do the quickest of quick touch-ups. I'm sure there are much quicker methods and processes, but this one's mine. I guess it's called art therapy. So roll with what you got. I'm going to check my screen here. I'll check the screen here in just a second to see if there's any comments. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just... I'm working with a little phone, so it's hard to see the screen. And I'm not at the edge by the jar lid. I'm not really worried about... That's not the most comfortable way to paint. So anyway. Now, one of the beauties about this resin mat, this is the easiest clean. Just a touch of water and a little tissue, and your paint's all cleaned up. It's kind of magic. It's quite nice. Easy. Apparently it's that day. Dropsies. My hands ain't working. Gosh. I hope y'all's house is peaceful and happy on this Saturday. Maybe not the best size for large areas, but it's all good. And I sanded this kind of nicely in some areas, and I've come to find out that sanding, the smoother you make it, the paint doesn't want to Needs a little texture to grab. So I'm not sanding as much. I actually didn't sand at all. I used my finger. The clay, when it's drying, it's very forgiving. Air dry clay. And so you can just get the tip of your finger wet. Give it a little, oh, good. Yum. Oh, Grandma. But they started making these frozen biscuits. Pillsbury, whatever, whoever. Anyway, she tried them. It came out. I was there the first time she made them. And they popped them out because they looked right. They smelled right. And they tasted really good, honestly. They're not terrible. And they're so easy. You can just do 1, 2, 10, whatever your needs are. It's like super convenient. So she made them, and she said, "Ooh, good enough." And I don't think she ever made a biscuit again. And they were good enough, and I love them. I don't know what the point of the story is. Oh, good enough. Well, the point of the story is I like biscuits. I'm sure there's another point to the story. I like biscuits. Actually, biscuit killed my daddy. Well, there's more to the story than that. He was living in North Carolina at the time, and as you've noticed in the weather, they got crazy weather. And so he wanted a biscuit, and there was a hurricane. God, he went to the store to get a biscuit, and it blew him sideways across the parking lot. It broke his back. He ended up having a stroke, spending months in the hospital. But he was in hot pursuit of a biscuit. And I did something that made Brian, my husband, think about. It was something I did, and he's like, I told him, I was like, well, Metas like their biscuits. And he just had to laugh. Like, my daddy was hunting a biscuit when it took him down. So I tell him, us Metas, we like our biscuits. I'm a Meta dark. Not fast enough. So let that dry and go ahead and flip on over. This one did not dry in the drying process clay rack. See, it's got a wobble to it. Not crazy about it. I think once it's hanging, you won't notice. We'll go ahead and work on the front. I'm just putting everything because it's like a primer. That's quite pretty. I love these textured stamps and rolling pins. I'm no master artist, but it's like paint by numbers almost. I mean, you gotta have a little bit of skill. A little. And produce something that doesn't just feel disappointing. It's so satisfying. And the products that I'm working with are very, very forgiving. Generous products. You can go back and fix, redo, clean, amend, whatever you need to do. It's very forgiving. There's a lot of wiggle. Wiggle room. Wiggle. Just a little. And I'm just dabbing the paint down in the cracks. Which is kind of cool because then it gives it depth. It gets darker in the recesses. And you can honestly just go kind of thick. It's smart. I need to use more paint at a time because then you can just drag it down. That looks kind of nice. You start going in with the other colors. I've got a green, a little red pop, and some white, even though I just painted the white. And I got that bronze. I'm very drawn to it. It's a silver lid. Lots of colors. Lots of colors. Don't want my paint built up in the little grooves of my snowflake. I do care. I found gives it a smoother. I learned so much about these products every time I work with them. I've never worked with clay or paint before, so by all means, if you are a novice, which I'm assuming that you are, no master painters watching my videos unless they're just like sitting back having a glass of wine like this is entertainment. But yeah, you do not need a high skill set. Now my quality has gone up dramatically, I think, with just a few pieces, which is satisfying. It's very, very satisfying to have that happen. So, I mean, I really think you should just go whatever product, project, idea you've been thinking about, just do it. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody to do it with, what a fun time. So I've got you guys. Ooh. And they get easier to paint once you first layer down, because it's like a primer, you know, and it goes a lot quicker. But I like to go a little thin on the first coat. It recommends that in a lot of places, and I find it's a good idea. Good advice. Such a good advice. And another thing I've realized is it's to look at your work from different angles when it has all these textures, because you'll see little spots you didn't see. Change your perspective up. Go back one more time. I should probably break down and use one of these bigger paintbrushes. I get real habitual to where I just keep using the same paintbrushes over and over, and I've got that whole little jug, whole bucket of them. Do you change your paintbrushes, or do you? I'm such a creature of habit, I find. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and use up this paint because it's bugging me. I cannot throw that much away, which is fine. We'll give them some extra layers. But I'm about to paint the front. Very satisfying. All those details. And I just painted the front. And I can feel under my thumb that I'm not sticking at all. This paint's amazing. I'm sure I'll paint. I don't know. Whatever. Never painted before. Oh. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys. Get a phone call. Can I do both? Holy cannoli, it's still going on. I don't know if you guys were a part of that or not, but that was kind of cool. Hope not. Alright. I just didn't want it to keep ringing. Okay. Nice. Nice, nice. I'm just gonna sacrifice some paint. I'm such a liar. No, I'm not. I'm gonna smear the rest of it around here. Okay. Oh, I like it. Can't put any more. Oh. I can use some of this gold paint over here. I'm just having a hard time not using it. Alright, sorry. That gives the jar just a second to dry. It does dry to the touch really quick, but to come in with a second color, give it just a second. I didn't dry my brush enough when I washed it. I can see it smeared the paint around a bit. Gotta remember to dry your brush. Okay. Oh, I never checked my screen. I said I was. How many paintbrushes do I have? I'm hoping that it wasn't so long. Hi, I did okay. Hi, 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 hi. How many paintbrushes do I have? Probably like 50 paintbrushes total. However, it was a big pack at Michael's in the craft section where all of the paints were the fancy paints were like the up in the case. They at the bottom underneath that display, they had packs of paintbrushes, and it was a bunch. But it was like $5, $6, and then I think everything in that department was 40% off. I got it, all of them for just a couple bucks, not much at all. Yeah, not much at all. I don't think I need that much. Not much. Oh, that's way too much paint. God, Jennifer. Anyway, I probably need like one tiny drop. I don't know if y'all can see or not. But there's the raised texture, right? So I'm just basically trying to stay on the high side of that pattern. I'm kind of impressed at my ability to hold my hand that straight that long. It actually looks pretty good. Not so shabby. I think I want a little bit more green. So there's these little leaves randomly on here. Well, not randomly, at the ends of the branches. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the leaves too because I like the green. It looks pretty. Squirted that much green out, but I want a little bit more on the pattern to show up. Those are leaves, but that's like a bud for one of those flowers. Oh man, that's a lot of paint. Dude, I don't want to waste so much paint. Alright. That's a lot of paint. It's like 10 more ornaments. I'm not throwing that away. Let's see what this does. Trap, trap. Pooh! One drop. Probably way plenty. Probably not enough. We shall see. Okay. It's hard to tell what's what. should have been green. I'm not sure I like this color combination yet or not. I did one with orange. It looks so freaking good. I was actually really impressed. I was really impressed at the gold, at the orange. It looked great. Ooh, that was a little thick. That's actually not so bad. I like it better now. Appreciate you guys hanging out and checking it out. This is what I've accomplished in 45 minutes. So, not too shabby. It's alright, actually. So, anyway, thanks for hanging out. And I will go live again later. I need to get something to eat, though, while I'm taking a break. Peace. Peace. Love and grizzly bears.